Hello again, everyone. So I have received most of your final drafts. There are still a few folks out there that have not gotten me a final draft of their first paper. And I just want to remind you folks again of the policy. If you stay in contact with me, if you let me know what's happening, if you need certain kinds of extensions, that's fine. You just need to talk to me. If I hear nothing and don't know what's going on, then I just assume that folks aren't doing what they should be doing, and so that's when you get the zeros and no extensions and all of that. Okay, so if there's some kind of issue, email me, call me, get in touch with me, let me know what's going on, okay, so that we can take care of that. The purpose of this video today is to get you folks introduced to the second paper. A couple folks have already started asking a few questions on that, and in some subsequent videos that I will post tomorrow, I'm going to go through and explain some of the terminology and some of the things that you'll be doing with this assignment. But I just wanted to go through the assignment sheet here and give you folks a little bit of a sense of what you might be able to do or where you might be able to go. So here is the assignment sheet listed on our course page. Let me just go ahead and drag it over to my other window. There we go. And so it's a rhetorical analysis. Now, you folks have maybe had to write some kind of analysis paper before. Maybe it was in high school or in another college class where you had to read a text of some kind, whether it was a novel or a short story, and asked to talk about what are some of the major themes. How does this connect to other points, whether it's history or politically or socially or what have you. So it follows that particular kind of genre, but it's a little bit different. Rhetorical analysis asks us to look at all the different contexts of a communicative act. Okay, so one of the things to keep this particular assignment really interesting and fresh and allow folks to maybe pull from things that they enjoy is to look at certain things that are out there in terms of popular culture. So for the rhetorical analysis, you can look at a variety of different mediums. You can look at a political cartoon, you can look at advertisements, you can look at clips from films. I say clips because if you try to analyze a whole film, that could be more pages than you probably want to write. Short television program or another scene from a television program, same thing in terms of documentary, a music video, any of those things is fine. Okay, this I'm going to talk a little bit more in another video, but this is essentially rhetoric. This is the communicative act as it exists, right? There's always somebody trying to communicate something to us. There's always an audience that's there to receive it. There's always a message. And I shouldn't say there's always, because sometimes one of these things might be missing, and if something's missing, then the communication doesn't work, right? There's a larger social and cultural context under which all of this operates, and there's, of course, language, symbols, images, the things that we utilize to communicate with others, okay? I'm going to explain a little bit more about what those terms mean in another video. But the requirements for this paper, you're really looking at that interplay amongst communicators and audiences and messages and languages and symbols in our larger social and cultural context to talk about what it is that you're looking at. So unlike the narrative essay, this has a little bit more structure. There has to be a thesis. There has to be a claim. And I'm going to show you folks another example in another video, again, tomorrow or the next day, of a Dove beauty campaign commercial, and we're going to talk about how one might rhetorically analyze that. But a claim might be primarily through the use of time-lapse videography, so that's a certain tool that's being used in the way that that commercial is being communicated to us. The Dove beauty campaign promotes self-esteem by dispelling the beauty myth that is thrust upon young women in American society. So we're making a claim there. This particular thing that I'm looking at is setting out to do this. Okay, so you're making a claim there, and you're identifying what it is. And you're identifying what the message is, to promote self-esteem. However, Dove's credibility is questionable, considering that their parent company promotes products such as Axe body spray that perpetuate the exploitation of women. So that brings in questions in terms of audience. Who's this commercial really intended for? How credible is the person communicating this or the company that's communicating this to us? And how folks organize this paper, it varies considerably. Some folks take each part of that rhetorical triangle and just discuss it at length. But as you'll notice, I have arrows going between all of them. They all coexist with each other. They all feed off of each other, or they should if the communication is effective. So it doesn't always work to kind of put them each to a separate paragraph or series of paragraphs. Really, it's kind of based upon what it is that you see and the order in which you see it, and to talk about those things. But these are some questions to think about. Who is the author of the piece, and what credibility do they have? How is the piece arranged? Why do you think the author chose to arrange the piece this way? Which of the rhetorical appeals is the most dominant, and how do they strengthen or weaken the message? What are the weaknesses? How do those affect your response? What are the strengths? What features are the most prominent or important? How effective is the piece as a whole? Right? So another claim you can make is, I think this commercial is really persuasive at getting me to buy this product because why? Give us some examples. Is there anything being conveyed in the piece that is not so obvious? So something that's a little bit more under the surface. The research component of it, so I would like you folks to use 2 valid online sources to support your analysis. What are valid sources? There's a little bit of discretion as far as what that might be, but probably it's something that is going to come from the Haley Library, right? A valid source on the internet that comes from a reputable place, institution, whether it's educational or a long-standing, for example, credible publication or newspaper. MLA formatting, again, I'm flexible with that. If folks want to do APA, because APA is within your major, that's fine. You can do APA formatting as well. The first due date is this Friday. Okay, final draft being the week after. So again, I'll have a couple of follow-up videos tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, and then the following day on Wednesday, that give you some more explanation, give you some more practice in terms of these terms, and then actually how to conduct an analysis using some of these terms. But for now, what I want you folks to focus on is reading through the assignment sheet again, but also thinking about, well, what is it that I want to look at? Search for some political cartoons. Think of a favorite music video and musician that you have, that you like. Think about a particular film that's really meaningful or important to you and a certain scene that strikes you in that movie. Think about a television show that you enjoy. Any one of those things can be a potential medium and a potential area of analysis. Okay, so start thinking about those things. Try to pin down what you might want to look at, and to be continued. Thanks, folks.